YouTube, it's JP from Vinyl Style. Today we're going to show you the process of applying any kind of wrap into the insert of your panel van, and then we're going to show you the process of how to apply vehicle graphics on top of that. We see the process of doing this sort of makes your panel, your van sort of stand out a bit better, and then applying graphics on top makes it look a bit more tidy than just slapping the graphics on top of the white van. So basically we're going to put matte black wrap inside the insert of the panel, and I'm going to show you the process of how we do that basically. So yeah, to get going, what we're going to do is first off we're going to clean it with some of the spirits that we got, and then obviously go from there. We're going to apply the wrap. I'm going to show you how to cut, how I cut the around the wrap inside the panel, and then I'm going to show you the process of applying the graphics. So yeah, just stay tuned, pay attention, and hopefully this video helps you out in anything that you need to know, the process of wrapping and applying graphics, and again also cleaning. But yeah, okay, we're going to get going. First of all, we've got the got our spirit. This is our own brand of spirit, which is actually in production to hit the shelves real soon. So it ain't just what you think it is. It's got a couple of different things in here. So yeah, basically, whereas the old van, it's come across, we've got sort of little old bits of signage that are stuck on there. It's basically like little bits of gum. We've got some debris that's sort of inside the paint, sort of little bits like that. Basically, this is just going to make it just freshen up the whole top layer of the lacquer, just to sort of help us get a nice clean installation and a nice fresh installation of the vinyl, and make sure there's no sort of bubbles or any sort of bits of debris that are going to poke out through the wrap and be visible once the wrap's installed basically. Yeah, so yeah, we're going to give this a good shake up. Look out for future videos of this. This is basically our own mixture of chemicals that we sort of that we recommend that you use while using the preparation of cleaning wrap and cleaning panel, sorry, before you apply your wrap, because basically we've used so much different stuff. This sort of our own sort of brand. This is the trick of the trade basically that I got taught when I was a young buck starting out in this trade. So yeah, just keep an eye out for future videos of that. Make sure you go subscribe and like our channels, our videos. We've got a few previous videos that we've done before that you can go check out. Obviously they're not as detailed as this, but this is our first sort of how-to video. So just bear with us if there's any sort of hiccups or anything like that. And also in the comments, if you could let us know how we could improve our sort of production, or anything what I'm sort of saying, or if I've missed out any details that you'd like to know, just give us a shout. I'll be happy to sort of get back to you on in the comments or direct messages as such. And also don't forget, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Vinyl Style UK. All the links will be around here somewhere in the video. I'll make sure that they get put up so you can get to the links, okay? And also, yeah, just make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, and look out for any more videos that we do have. So yeah, as I say, we just got our spirits on there. Obviously the panel's getting a lot more cleaner. Obviously also what I do is I open up the van. Just do that to get the keys. Yeah, we basically, I always open the van and clean it in these parts as well, because the wrap's going to be getting tucked around on this part and also inside the van now. So yeah, we clean. So again, once the cloth starts soaking with the spirits, you can virtually use it for however long you need. It's okay just to run only a little bit on the cloth. It just sort of gets all off all sorts of debris and old gum that's been on there. A little wipe over and a little bit of elbow grease goes a long way, do you know what I mean? So there we go, that's that panel sort of done. Always cool to go around the outside of it all as well, all the sort of surrounding areas of where you're going to be using your wrap, just to sort of make sure that there's no contamination that's going to get underneath the wrap as such. So yeah, that's that part sort of done there. And we're just going to come inside here, because the wrap's going to get tucked down in this part here. so we can clean out all the debris in there. Again, just wipe around all the area, all at the top. As I said, just make sure you look out for the video of our spirit that's going to come and hit the market soon. It's called Gun Gone. Yeah, it's going to be sort of in the next sort of couple of weeks. There will be a video explaining how to use it properly. We're just waiting for our next sort of vehicle graphic removal to come in, and then we'll smash that out and get a nice video on the go for that. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. As I say, like and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, okay. Now once that's sort of used, use the spirit, put that to the side. I like to get a nice sort of dry cloth and just go over the panels, just to remove any sort of spirit from the panel. Just leave it nice and dry. Just dries off, and obviously some spirits do use alcohol and sort of stuff like that, which can leave like a sort of white dusty coat to the panel, basically. So basically using a white cloth, your dry cloth, will help you sort of get rid of all that basically once it's dry. So again, just go around all the edges, and you can actually see it. Once you actually use this product yourself, you will see how the van turns up and how the van is now prepped for wrap, basically. And also make sure you go around your edges again with a dry cloth. The last thing you want to do is apply your wrap, and then obviously get a nice bit of dampness underneath one of these parts where it won't stick, and that's your job done. You need to restart the job. So yeah, make sure you go into all these creases, sort of crevices, get out any sort of dampness you might get rid of. Again, I also come in with a heat gun just to heat the panel up. Obviously it's quite damp and sort of cold at this time of year. It's the middle of February. So yeah, it's quite damp and quite cold, so I like to heat the panel up a little bit, also get rid of any moisture that's in the panel. So yeah, we just do that. Also make sure you get into these parts here, this is where your wrap's going to stick. You want to make sure these are nice and dry, nice and clean, just to make sure that you get a good adhesion from the wrap, if you know what I mean. Okay, so that's done. We've got a pre-cut sort of, we measured the panel to make sure that we have the right sort of sizing. So we've got our pre-cut wrap, our matte black wrap. That's also now going to go over the panel. So my next steps are, we're going to use these magnets that we can also get from all sorts of sign shops, anywhere you need to go, anywhere suppliers. And just roll it over the actual panel. So as you say, all that panel is covered. Make sure all the edges, all the edges underneath. You know, so yeah, just give it a little jig about. Make sure that it's all the panel is covered. What you're going to wrap. As you can see, you can feel the panel underneath. Make sure it's nice and straight. Also, just gives you a nice, easy install. Nice and even everywhere. Perfect. So yeah, now we're going to go ahead and begin to place the vinyl. I'm going to show you how I do it. A lot of people do struggle with this sort of side of things. Doing it on your own can be a bit of a task. So basically, what I do is once it's all in place, Make sure that you can feel all the edges of your panel that you're going to wrap. Make sure it's all covered nicely. We then place our magnet just there. And then usually I go to the middle, but here we've got a light here, so we're just going to go as far as we can to there. This is just to get the wrap started, basically, get it onto the panel without struggling with yourself and trying to hold a big sheet of panel, take the backing off and trying to get it positioned right. This is my sort of technique of how I sort of get it onto the van on my own, and yeah, basically how we move forward. So basically what we're going to do now is I usually throw a few more magnets on here just to make sure it doesn't move. I'll throw one there, just another one up here, just to keep it in place, just in case these magnets fall and you're just going to lose this place. Okay, so we come in here, put it back, remove the backing paper and just tuck it behind. Tuck it behind there, don't trim off no backing paper, because a few people do that where they trim the backing paper off, but I find that then it leads to more contamination underneath your vinyl, which you won't notice until the wrap goes down, so I usually leave it intact. So yeah, give it a good rub down, make sure it's tacked. Obviously this is all going to get pulled back up anyway, just for a second. So yeah, remove your magnets that are close to the wrap. Take off these ones here, so you can put it back down there just to hold it in. Put this one up here. So now we're going to come underneath the vinyl, find a bit there that you can feel, and now we're literally just going to peel it down and just come across, removing the magnets as you go, like that. And there you have it. That there now is obviously ready for the next stage of preparation. So yeah, now what we're going to do is I'm going to stick one magnet sort of here just to hold it on the van for a sec, just in case I peel it off and then the whole thing comes off. So basically we're now going to do a cold pre-stretch just to get rid of any sort of all these wrinkles and stuff, so we can then go through and with our felt squeegee and get it nice and flat. So basically get a cold pre-stretch. You see now how I'm putting it from both corners, and most of the wrinkles are gone. Obviously the van is curved, so we're going to get some of this sort of gathering up here. So then we pull up from the centre, from that side there, we pull down from here, which now has leaves us with a nice sort of starting point where we can go out from. Okay, so we do the same again this side. Go to the middle. Gotta be a bit careful, we don't want it to peel off the whole van. And again, get your nice cold pre-stretch in, come from the middle of the panel, pull it up, come from the middle of the panel at the bottom, and pull down. See, now we've got a lovely sort of flat area here we can all work out from the centre outwards. You don't want to be coming in from the corners here into the middle. I always find removing all the backing paper off and setting a nice cold pre-stretch up, where we've got the similar sort of creases up here which we will remove once install goes in, and we've got the similar sort of going down here, which you're going to get that because the panel's curved. Okay, so basically now we're going to get our felt squeegee, our felt edge squeegee, which I'll show you here. Okay, I've used this quite a few times, should have had a new one really, but we can go through and just sort of remove, make sure you remove any sort of old sort of felt on there. Okay, so yeah, this is our squeegee, basically nice and soft for the edges. So now we're just going to come in here, literally from the middle down. Don't go right to the top or right to the bottom, just literally go through the centre, removing any sort of air, keep it nice and straight. Keep your application straight, and then you've got sort of halfway through that panel, you want to come back and do the other half of this panel, which now we're just going to go through again, the same techniques, straight up, straight down, just sort of also covering, say if I go, for instance, like that, and you can see where your squeegee has laid down the vinyl. Okay, so if I come now and go like that, you're going to be left with this air pocket all here. So you want to literally go over where the same bit where you actually went up. So you're up, and just make sure you cover yourself on the way back down to cover where you put your squeegee as such. You get what I mean? So yeah, literally now we've got it all sort of in place pretty nicely. Again, we can come up from here, just tug up. Don't really need a lot of heat with this sort of type work, but it's just about how you sort of move your squeegee about basically. So basically, if I come down at angles, it's all going to cause me more problems than what it's worth. So I usually tend to come out from the right and then literally just work my way down, slap it down into that bit there, because then I'm going to start coming around. And if you work down in the flat panels, and as you come around this part, if you use it in a curve, it sort of tends to get rid of any creases that you might be having gathering up. Okay, so like literally, as you can see, I've got all these creases here, but I'm using no heat. Literally just a bit of patience, bit of technique, and just literally roll it around that curve. And don't want to go too far into it just yet. You might have to pull it back up again. Again, at the top, using the same technique, just rolling around in the curve, around the van, and it sort of lays you down a nice sort of part there. Keep it all nice and straight. Get any air bubbles out that you might be coming across there. And literally keep using the same technique around in that circle in the corners, just working it in slowly, bit of patience, bit of skill, not rushing it too much, and we're in. Lovely into the corner there, I don't know if you can see that. But literally we're in nicely. Any sort of gatherings you do get, just literally pull it back a little bit. You don't get no problems, okay? So literally now we're sort of all in line, and we're just going to literally bang it down to where it needs to go, into the corners of the panel. And we're in. Okay, you can notice how I've left these parts up here, because where we're sort of squeegeeing out our creases, we're going to get a gathering up. I don't know if you can see the gathering here. We've sort of moved all of our gathering around to these parts here. Okay? So now what we're going to do is just literally, again, just work our way back into the middle. Just nice and gently lifting this bit up here. Both bottom and top. Okay, so now we're going to just literally, using our same techniques that we did the other side, pull this up a little bit here. Okay. Right. Here. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing this side, but it's basically the other side, same as what I was doing the other side, just basically doing our technique of going around in the corners. Again, just set it up nicely, just to get tucked into the corners as such. Again, look, if you can see that, a bit better this side. As we can see, the creases are just literally getting eliminated by the flow of my squeegee. Okay? You want to lift it up. Give it a stretch out again. Maybe work the other way. If it's gathering up too much, you can work both ways. So yeah. Gradually in, just literally making sure that our corners get put in. Come out from the middle again, just bang these ones in, lift the edges up from the edge. Just keep working it in. Not using no heat either, just literally banging the vinyl into the corners. And obviously we're going to heat it up after we install it, so for the people that are wondering when I'm going to heat it. Okay, so that's the top bit all in. Now we're just going to work our way through, get our bottom in. Again, just tugging up this bottom and just literally banging it down into these parts here. Okay then. And there we go. That's our panel fully wrapped and ready to be trimmed basically. First off, we're just going to fly around with the heat gun just to remove any bubbles that we can't see, because to remove any bubbles that we can't see, because basically the heat will then identify where certain bits are that you might have missed. So yeah, we're just going to fly over with this. Then also you want to do your heat onto the centre part of the join of the two doors. Okay, so yes, that's all ready to go. We get a dry cloth just to see if I can get rid of any sort of handprints on there that needs to be wiped down. Just wipe it down. Go. Just getting rid of any of the marks that might have been caused by the squeegee, but yeah. We're all good to go. So yeah. Okay, now we're on to our next stage, which is going to be the trimming part. There's a bit of a technique that I use to this, which I will show you. There's 2 seconds. Find my craft knife here and a scalpel. So we're here. Right. So what we're going to do, got a bit of a dirty blade on this, so we're going to change that out. Yes, right. So we've got a new blade. Got a little bit of sweat going on here, mate. Right, so fresh blade. I'm using the 10A blades with the Swan Morton craft knife, sort of scalpel. Fresh blade. Basically what we're going to do is I usually hold my blade like this. If you can see that, I put my finger there like so, and basically my finger is going to literally lay in the groove with the blade on it, very gently, just run it around the edges, and this is going to sit on the actual edge of the actual panel. So it sits like that, the blade sits on top, and my finger runs around the edge of the panel, which then cuts a sort of, like I said, 97% straight line. I mean, sometimes you can use knifeless tape to go around the edges, but I always find that it gathers up, and sometimes it doesn't actually give you the actual nice curve that you need in these corners, because it gathers up again, and sometimes the wire moves off of the actual tape itself and causes more problems than what it's worth. And I mean, I've had like a 99% success rate with just cutting it on the van, and probably a 70% success rate with using knifeless tape. So I'm sticking to the old methods. Some of you might be thinking, why are you cutting on the van? But if you cut very, very gently, there'll be no mark left on the van, which obviously some techniques are coming from cutting on the balloon and blow up balloon. If you can actually cut a piece of vinyl on a blow up balloon, not pop the balloon, that's what we're doing here. So we're going to get going. We're going to put our knife on the edge of the finger, place it in the groove, get the right angle right with your arm. This is all going to be, if you do it like this, you're not going to get right. But if you come out nicely, get your arm right and correct, in the right place. And I mean, there's also, if you can see, what I usually run with, there's, if you move up and down, you can see the actual line of the lighting that's actually catching on the matte black wrap. You can do it on all sorts of different color wraps as well. You can see the line that is created from the light that is literally on the panel, just inside this groove here. So literally I usually run with that. It is quite hard to tell where the actual groove starts and where it is, so that's why I always look for that sort of line of light that it's giving me. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and start our cut. I usually start from here, get the arm out nice, get the knife situated nice and correctly on the finger, and literally we're just going to run our finger. Don't worry about what the knife is doing, worry about what your finger is doing, because the finger is on the van itself. Just keep the knife at a nice depth, and you just got to move nice and steady, just to make sure that your angles and your knife is in correct place. So when you come to the corners, this is where it gets a bit more tricky. You do have to release your finger, but if you're good at freehanding, you'll be fine. Notice, literally come around your bend. As you come back to your straight, you need to put your finger back underneath and carry on with the process. Nice and gently on the van, don't scratch too much. Now when it comes to there, I usually change angles and I come back to here. Again, get the right angle on your van and literally run it all the way along. Keeping my finger on the panel, don't know what the knife is doing, just keep the knife nice and straight. I'll sort of connect it back up to there, and we're going to come back round and then freehand the line and join it to where we left off there. Okay? So now what we've got to do now is literally run it from the top round to here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find our cut up here. I'm just going to run everything through the corner. And do the same again, knife in a nice position, finger on the edge of the van, and literally we're just going to run it in through the whole panel. Nice. Run it nicely, gently on the van, finger on the panel, and literally we're rolling nicely all the way out to the edge. And boom, we're inside now. So let's get rid of our excess. Good now, Gary. We're just going to literally slice that there. And this should come all the way around. As you can see now, we're just going to take off all the excess. Just obviously at some points where you're in, where the vinyl, where the cuts have been joined, You may need to come over and just refresh them, just to make sure that you've been on the right track. Okay. And there we have it. There's a few little bits here that I might need to go over again, which is sort of little touch there, but it's good. This is how things get done. Obviously the whole panel is sort of all covered up now. It's just literally tiny little issue there. But it's okay because it's over the actual panel, so we're going to come in and rectify these parts here. And there we go. And there we have it. It's all pretty good, to be honest with you. It's perfect. So now, what we're going to do now is all we've got left to cut is this part here. Okay. So now what we're going to do is just for the basic of the video, I'm going to show you how I sort of come in to cut my bit here. I mean, if we go straight on the panel like this, we're going to be left with a little bit of white that we can see on this side of the door. Okay, so if I come in straight, it's going to leave a bit of white there. But if I come in at an angle and literally tuck my blade behind the door like so, and keep it at a nice steady angle all the way down, we're going to get a nice little tuck around this part of the door, and we're going to get a nice inlay that's going to fall in to this part of the door and wrap inside that part there. So here we go. So we're going to literally get our cut started, come in at an angle, and then literally just keep it nice and the same all the way down, nice and steady. Boom. And there you go. All cut and ready to sort of wrap around. So now we're going to come in with our thumb, start from the middle, work our way down. Don't go right round and try to get it all in one go. Do it a couple of times up and down and ease all of it round together. Just end up with a much better finish. And the same goes for this side. I'm not too sure if we can see that due to the door, which you should be able to. But yeah, again, sort of just come in from the middle and don't go right around the whole of it. Work it round from top to bottom, leaving some of the access to sort of go around with. So as you sort of go round, get it all nice and flat, and that's all perfect. And then we're going to come in with our heat gun. You want to heat these parts just to make sure that nothing lifts up. Because a lot of people working, they're touching these bits. So just literally want to cook it on. Get rid of any sort of wrinkles that may be gathering inside this part of the wrap. Go over it a couple of times. With the rubbing down of the finger, and then what I do is I come in and I literally give it a nice bit of heat without touching it. We're just going to prove that the vinyl is stuck on nicely. Just go over it again with your finger and make sure nothing's lifting. Perfect, okay? So we're going to come and do the same thing here. Just literally heat it right up. Get rid of any sort of wrinkles or creases that may be forming due to wrapping around that part of the band, okay? Again, just go as well, get the heat, go around the edges of your cut just to make sure nothing's lifting up. There we go. That's our panel preps, our wrap wrap the insert of the panel, and now we're ready to apply the graphics on top. So yeah, so now we have our graphics here that has been pre-cut on the machine, ready to install. Again, we're using our magnets to put in place. So, dodgy application tape in me, some lot of dodgy stuff happening here. This is the one thing about taking graphics from other people that have been prepped. But yeah, okay, so we're ready to apply our graphics. Let's say we might have a little bit of an issue with that there, I'm afraid. So, that'll be okay. Okay, right, just going to release that off. Right, okay, we're good to proceed. We're literally just going to bang it in. Sort of get it relatively in the place where you want it to be. And now we're literally going to come in with our tape measure. Now when you've got a graphic like this, to centralise it, you can either do a fold to the letters, but we've got this side that's a bit different. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we measure from sort of the same place as here. So we can see where our letters are going to begin here. So we want to sort of measure from here, both sides, you get what I'm saying? So we want to sort of say that, say 2 inches off of each bracket on the back, which is going to be our point of measure. So 11 1/4 there. And now with this one, we want to go, hang on a second. It's pretty good, to be honest. That's pretty good. Take this way a little bit. Because as well, sometimes you want to get, if you've got the joint of the van doors going through the letter, you want to get a good healthy bit of the letter on either side. Okay, so literally we've probably got the same on either side on that, and that's pretty good to me. It's pretty close. So we're looking at there, to there is like 11 2/8. Yeah, we're bang on show, mate. So yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Now all we're going to do is, I usually come down and see that the light is the most symmetrical thing on the actual van at the moment, because the panels do curve. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a measurement from each corner of the actual van light, and look where it sort of begins as on this thing. So we're looking at 13 and 1, just off of it, and we're looking at, what's that, 13 and 1/4 there. So we're going to come up a little touch on this one. Now when you're measuring, you want to measure both sides a number of times, because when you move one side, the other side can move up a few millimeters, so you sort of tend to lose, yeah, so you tend to sort of, it gets moved back quite a lot. So just make sure you measure this side. Once you've already measured this side, I'll go back and measure again, just to make sure that it hasn't moved anywhere. So yeah, we're looking at 13. We're going to go with it. So then we take our masking tape. Got a bit of roll on that one there. So we take our masking tape and we're going to put tape right across the top. Try and avoid the actual signage if you can, like the actual lettering, because the masking tape tends to create sort of air pockets when you're standing, but if you can't, and it's been cut too close, then you can't. It's just basically as simple as that. Yep. There. So yeah, as I say, we're going to go put our masking tape right across the top. Remove our magnet. Okay, so now we'll take our scalpel. What I like to do is I'll do the same again, same cut as before, just run it down that gap there. I get a nice fresh scraper. Now, as I separated the graphic in two, obviously it makes it a bit easier to handle. You can do more if you're sort of inexperienced, doing letter by letter. That's how I started off when I was first started doing it. I used to cut per letter, install one at a time, but obviously if you're a bit more comfortable with it, you can crack on and do half and half, or even the whole thing if you that. But before I show you the way that I sort of cut it, and also it's got a curve on the van, so when you are trying to do a flat one-time install, you're going to get gatherings here, there and everywhere, and where we've got this solid bit of gold here, it's sort of going to be more beneficial and a lot more better application by separating the two. So yeah, so again, lift your graphic up, I want master tape on the top, separate it, lift it up. I usually just wipe over with my hand just to remove any sort of debris that's underneath it, because obviously some static can attract to the back of these. So yeah, you just literally go ahead and lift it up, take off all the backing. And sometimes on your settings on your machine, you can cut too deep on the lettering and it leaves the backing, just a tiny bit of backing on the letters, which may be left on the letters, so always be aware of that. And again, obviously come down. And using the same technique as I was saying before about covering your lines. When you applicate one way, make sure you cover the line on the way back. So we're going to start from the middle, always start from the middle, and work our way out to either the left or the right. And just get a nice sort of bit going on. Always covering the lines, as you can see, a bit more darker here, and it's more lighter the bit that hasn't been applicated. But if I come down at an angle, it's going to create air pockets and creases, which you don't want. So then covering the lines, and I sort of once it's down to the bottom, just literally cover, because obviously I've only got letters to there, there's nothing else here, so that doesn't matter. And obviously, yeah, just go around, tuck in as much as you can for the letter that drops in, because you don't want to peel the backing off and that peel up with it. So remove the application tape, be careful of any bit that drops in. And there you go, that's one side of it done. And we're going to use the same process for this side. Just lift it up, be aware of your corners. Again, just wiping with your hand, get rid of any debris that may be attached to the wrap. Pull the backing off. Again, look, you can see there where, oh yeah. Is actually here now, it's actually got a lot of the backing sort of left on the actual lettering. That's removed itself from the paper, so we're just going to go through and remove all of that. As I say, these graphics are supplied by the company, so it's not really sort of my doing, this part, but I have done it many times before where the base depth is too deep. So something to be aware of when cutting the machine. Cutting on your machine, should I say. And again, keeping that nice and sort of firmly. Start from your middle, out to each side. Covering your lines as you go back and forth. Getting a nice flat application. When it comes to the letters, just slap it down. Rubbing down your corners so to get that letter in. Okay, go over it again just to get a nice solid. So no letters peel back once you peel back this. And there we go. There you have it. Now all we need to do is put one more bit on. They're going to sit just under here. Again, using the magnets, just getting it into a nice sort of position where you know it's going to be sitting. Now what we can do is literally just going to measure each corner, right on each corner, so that is 6 1/4. 6, just under 1/4, so we're going to go up a little. 6, 2, 1/4, 6, 1. There we go, so that's ready to put down where it needs to be. Push your magnets out as far as possible, just keeping it nice and tight and firmly in place. I'm going to show you another technique here that we can use for these kind of graphics. Basically, what I do is I'll take a small piece of tape. I'd usually, if it's on the white van, I'd use magnets, but where it's on the mat, I don't want to contaminate the mat wrap as such. So basically just place a bit of tape right on the corner of the graphic, not on the graphic but on the back where the graphic actually sits. So that is your actual point of where you're going to place the wrap again. So basically bring your magnet over to this side, just to holding that bit in place. Literally peel back your back in, making sure all the letters stay on the application tape. Okay, now where we've got the gap in the door, we can tuck our tuck it in there. So what I do, I just rip that off there. Okay, so now you're going to see it better when I do it on that side. We literally just lay it back, literally on the tape where you place the tape there. And this is only for that sort of small stuff like this. I use this sort of stuff, or longer graphics, because you don't want too much to be able to lay on the van without squeegeeing it, otherwise you're going to be left with bubbles and creases. That's why I use this sort of technique for smaller sort of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, so you remove your masking tape, and it's bang on exactly where you wanted it to be in the first place. Boom, and we come back to this side. Peel the backing off. There we go, look. There's a lot of that sort of left on, but that comes off nice and easy. Again, just wiping down the edges. Place it just under the masking tape where you left it, just as a sighter. Give it a nice little rub down. And there you go. There it is. You do the same technique again, just come in with these letterings, just literally trim that arrow there. And there you go. That's how you apply graphics, at the insert of the panel. As I say, any questions or any sort of theories that you might want to come across or ask me, or if you have any techniques that I can better my skills, just leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all the other social media platforms. As I say, it's JP from Vinyl Style. Thanks for watching, and we're going to speed it up here and show you how we do the rest of the van and show you the end product. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
I can hear that money calling on me. I'm with you and it's like 2:45. I wonder how you fit it all in them jeans. I hit it right now, you falling for me. My favorite outfit when you naked. Money chest, man, we never chasing. Diamonds in the club, straight aces. We gon' take shots of the honey till we faded. Come in, little baby, I love your sex in the morning. All of this money will have you flexing and ballin'. You know them haters stay watching when you walkin'. vodka, we some VIP, very important. Middle of summer, but my ice stay frozen. Dancing on me, you got my mind going romance. I'm tryna leave with you, baby, you stalling. Give you this good love, but don't be falling. Give you this good love, and now we falling. She fell for a rude boy, now she's out there calling. Give you this good love, and now we falling. She fell for a rude boy, and now she's still calling. I wanna give you some good loving. I wanna give you a hot fucking. You gotta shake it, you gotta break it. Wine on the waist like Shawty's Jamaican. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Shots of the vodka, Hennessy, and we gone in. Drunk texting, she's squatting, ease on it. Know you got a man, but Chiefs calling. Let's get a tan in a visa. Jet flying, you don't need a land with a visa. You gon' let me slice like a pancake pizza. When I get inside, I do damage in ether. Yeah. Go ahead and dance for me, darling. And when you dance, you go all in. You almost had me falling. When I'm a rude boy and you still calling. Give you this good love and now we falling. She fell for a rude boy, now she's out there calling. Give you this good love and now we falling. She fell for a rude boy and now she's still calling. I'm with you and it's like 2:45. I can hear that money calling on me. I'm with you and it's like 2:45. Let's go. But I'm a rude boy and you still calling.